schedule, so you won't want to miss that one. Nice cool down happening now at this point. Definitely a big race to prepare for. Okay, and up next we have the men's single semifinal one. In lane 1, we have Michael Clower representing the United States, unaffiliated. Fun fact, this gentleman is 6'10". In lane 2, we have Lenny Futterman representing Malta Boat Club. And in lane 3, we have Thomas Pfeiffer for Penn AC. And in lane 4, we will have Kevin Meter representing Riverside Boat Club. As we take off here in the first of the two of the men's semi-final races, you can see, taking a little peek over the shoulder to see where we are. Taking off in the first 250 meters, that's what those red buoys are there in the beginning of the race, the first 250 meters of the race. And a lot of times these athletes will take off at a much higher rate, a much higher pace, to get out in front, get themselves established, and then they will lengthen out possibly 1 or 2 times until they find their rhythm that suits them perfectly, that sweet spot to know where their ultimate efficiency is. Sometimes they may take an extra stroke or 2 here and there because that psychological advantage of having your bell ball in front does a lot. But again, as we've seen in the first 2 semifinals so far, where you are in the beginning is not necessarily where you will be in the end, particularly if you have the experience and self-awareness and confidence to row your race and not worry about what's happening in the lanes next to you. Pay attention to you, focus on you, breathe, hit your rhythm, your speed is all that matters.
I love these drone shots and these shots from behind the athletes. You can see the race course all the way down to the finish line in these shots. Interestingly, Kevin Mader is the gentleman who has rowed this event at the past couple of World Rowing Championships on behalf of the United States. He is in lane 4, and actually he had the early lead here, even though your 2 top qualifiers, the ones that won their heats and went straight to the semifinal, are the gentlemen in lanes 2 and 3, Lenny Futterman from Malta in lane 2 and Thomas Pfeiffer of Pennsylvania Athletic Club in lane 3. But as they come through 500 meters, all 4 boats still connected, Lindsay, here at Nathan Benderson Park. They could not ask for better water for this men's semifinal of the men's single. And we're still seeing, as you see the times come through, just a 1/10 of a second, Lenny Futterman in lane 2 ahead of Kevin Mader in lane 4. But look at this. Look just how close it is for all 4 of these men. Who's going to make that first move to decide, hey, I want to see if I can separate myself from the field and play defense for the rest of the race? But again, we're looking for the top 2 finishers are going to move through to tomorrow's final.
And you can see there in lane 1, Michael Clower, he was a little bit behind off the start, which is not uncommon to see for someone as tall as he is, quite honestly. But you can see how he's just sitting quite upright and just using his legs for this. And that has, as you just mentioned, who will make that first move. He has decided that he is going to make the first move as they cross over that first 750 meters. But again, once we cross that 1,000, when you kind of push reset on the entire race, that's where we'll really start to see whatever moves the other athletes have in them and what they've decided to set up in their race plans throughout this whole race.
So Michael Clower in lane 1 on the far left of your screen. He is from Canton, Massachusetts, and he rowed at Connecticut College. He actually represented the United States on this water here at Nathan Benderson Park in 2017 in this event as the men's single scull. So he's very familiar with the water, with the race course. He understands it and rowed on it at a very high elite level at those 2017 World Rowing Championships. And again, just trying to push his bow out and give himself a little bit of distance to feel comfortable relative to the rest of the field. As we see the times come through from 1,000 meters, it's Michael Clower a second ahead of Lenny Futterman. Then it's Kevin Mader closest to us on the screen, and then it is Thomas Pfeiffer in lane 4. Do not count out Thomas Pfeiffer. I believe he might have even won the time trial on day 1 of these 2020 Olympic team trials for rowing. And I have a feeling that his second half here is going to be a little bit faster relative to the field than his first half was. So this is going to be a great race all the way down to the finish line, I believe, Lindsay.
And you can see there in lane 2, Lenny Futterman, knowing that Clower is out in front in lane 1, peeking over his shoulder just to see how close, giving himself a little bit more motivation. But again, he needs to pay attention to Kevin Mader over there in lane 4. As you already mentioned, he is the one that represented the United States in 2018 and 2019, the last major races that some of these athletes have had. You know, he placed 20th and 21st those 2 times, so he's the one as far as the standard goes for the United States right now. We don't know what he's done over the last year that we've awaited. You know, last year everything was postponed just about 4 days before these trials were set to happen. And so for the last 11 months or so, these athletes have had a lot of time to either train, they've definitely had time to think. But the beautiful thing about it is being in isolation is the best thing that you could ask for, to be honest, when it comes to training. No distractions. Focus on your speed. If you want to go to these games, it's the Olympic Games. This is the US Olympic Trials. This is meant to be you in your top condition, knowing that you are putting everything you can forward. And as we see, David, there on the screen, lane 2, Lenny Futterman, those peaks over his shoulders might have helped.
Yeah, and Lenny Futterman, if you look at his rowing relative to Michael Clower, obviously Michael Clower being taller than Lenny Futterman has something to say about the difference. But Lenny Futterman decided to take up his stroke rating, how many times he is striking the water a minute, and that has put him in the lead ahead of Michael Clower through 1,500 meters. So 500 meters to go. What are we going to see in terms of finishes? Again, we're looking for 2 spots. Only 2 of these men are going to move through to tomorrow's final to have the opportunity to represent the United States at the last chance qualifier regatta in Lucerne, Switzerland in May in order to try to earn a spot on the United States Olympic team. Right now it's Lenny Futterman who went to Boston University. He is out in front. He's been on every one of the U.S. national teams, the junior national team, the under-23 national team, the senior national team, a lot of experience, and he's going to try to hold off the rest of the field as they all start to charge here. You're starting to see more strokes a minute happening, and whatever they have left in the tank from an energy and power perspective being put into these 4 single sculls.
Particularly as we come down to the line. This is much closer than we've seen so far to the other 2 races this morning, but it is that decision. What am I going to do? Do I have another beat? Is it more efficient? Is this going to make me faster? They all have gadgets. They all have GPS. They know exactly what their speed is right now, and that is something that motivates too. Some people need to see a number, just like being on the rowing machine, to go, yep, that stroke was faster. I have more. I have more. As we come all the way down to the line, it looks like in the outside 2 lanes, it does seem that in lane 2, Lenny Futterman has maintained his pace, but in the outside 2 lanes, who is going to come across in that second position for the top 2 spots that will go into the final tomorrow of the men's single?
And it looks like it was Kevin Mader, unofficially by about a bow deck over Thomas Pfeiffer, with Michael Clower connected to them as well. So what a finish we had. Lenny Futterman deciding really very early on, making kind of a gutsy decision. I'm going to take up the stroke rating. I'm going to take the lead here. He did, and he was able to stay in front, maintain, and play defense on all the other single sculls as they came through. So unofficially moving through to tomorrow's final for a chance to represent the United States in Lucerne, Switzerland. It's Lenny Futterman from